Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Usita, identity coach, professor, and someone who's spent years helping young professionals navigate one of the most important but overlooked parts of life, figuring out who you are and leading from that place of authenticity. So if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because every week we talk about identity, leadership, and practical ways to align who you are with the life and the career that you're building. So let me ask you something. Have you ever walked out of a meeting or a conversation at work and thought, why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I say what I really thought? Maybe you silence yourself to avoid conflict. Or maybe you've learned to shapeshift, always editing your words, your style, and even your personality just to fit in. And over time, that silence builds up until you feel like you've lost your voice. Now, here's a hard truth. The pressure to belong is strong. And as young professionals, it can steal your authenticity without you even noticing. You wake up one day and realize you've been performing instead of actually living. But here's the good news. You can reclaim your voice. You can step into your authenticity, set boundaries, and lead with confidence. And today I'm going to share 5 principles that will help you do exactly that. These are insights I've seen transform careers, protect mental health, and help people rediscover the leader inside of them. So let's jump in. So let's name the problem. As a young professional, you're under constant pressure to perform. Dress a certain way, talk a certain way, don't be too much of this, or don't be not enough of that. And this pressure doesn't start at work, it starts much earlier. From childhood, many of us learn that being accepted often means holding back who we are. And by the time you get into your career, that habit of shrinking yourself shows up in powerful ways. You stay quiet in meetings because you don't want to rock the boat. You overcommit because you haven't learned how to say no. You put on a professional mask and hide the passions, values, and quirks that make you unique. Research backed this up. Studies show that 60% of employees feel they can't be their authentic self at work. And when you hide for too long, the cost is heavy. Burnout, loss of confidence, and that gnawing feeling of disconnection from who you truly are. But awareness is power. And once you see the pattern, you can begin to change it. That's where these 5 principles come in. So here are the 5 principles to reclaim your authenticity. Principle number 1. Recognize the trade-off. Every time you silence yourself to fit in, you're making a trade-off, belonging over authenticity. And here's the truth. When belonging requires you to shrink, it's not real belonging, it's conformity. So the first step is awareness, asking yourself, where in my life am I holding back what I really think? And what am I afraid of losing if I speak up? That fear might be rejection, it might be losing approval, or even slowing down your career progress. But here's the paradox. The very voice you're silencing is the one that will set you apart as a leader. So here's a practical step. Start small. In your next meeting, share one perspective you normally would have held back. You don't need to drop a bombshell, just test what happens when you stop trading authenticity for safety. And pay attention to what's happening in your body, what's happening in your feelings, and in your mind. You know you can do this when you take small steps toward the things that you are trading off. Principle number 2, rediscover your voice through reflection. You can't reclaim your voice if you don't know what it sounds like. Reflection is how you tune back into it. Journaling, prayer, meditation, and even talking into the phone recorder. These are tools to notice what's happening inside of you. Here are some prompts that help young professionals reconnect with themselves. So ask yourselves these questions. What part of myself do I feel I have to hide at work? Or what values do I want my career to reflect? What kind of conversations make me feel most alive? And at first, reflection feels slow and even unnecessary, but the more you practice, the sharper your self-awareness becomes. And when you know your value, your patterns, and your passions, you stop doubting your voice. You recognize it when it shows up. And then You just keep doing it, and then it empowers you. Principle number three, learn to set boundaries. Boundaries are the guardrails of authenticity. Without them, you're constantly saying yes when you mean no. And every yes that violates your limits chips away at your identity. But here's the thing, boundaries don't have to be confrontational. They can be clear, calm, and firm. For example, not checking email after 8 p.m. or telling your manager, I can finish this project well if I have 2 more days. These small acts of self respect compound into confidence and really set you up to gain back your authenticity. And surprisingly, boundaries often increase respect. People trust those who know where they stand. So leaders without boundaries burn out. Leaders with boundaries earn credibility, earn respect. So here's a practical step. Write down one boundary you want to try this week, something small but meaningful. Try it as a promise to yourself, not just a rule for others. Principle number four, surround yourself with supportive allies. Build yourself a team. Your environment shapes your identity more than you realize. If you're surrounded only by people who prefer you quiet and agreeable, you'll eventually believe that's who you are. But when you find allies, colleagues, mentors, or even peer communities who value your perspective, your courage to speak up grows. And these allies reflect your authenticity back to you when you doubt it. So here's a practical step. Identify one safe person in your workplace or network, and then share something this week that feels a little more you, an idea, a perspective, even a personal value. And then notice their response. Most of the time, you'll find acceptance where you feared rejection. When I was a professor, I would teach this lesson and I would tell people to find themselves their fellowship, similar to the Fellowship of the Rings. Frodo had somebody that was a teacher, somebody that was a king, one his best friend, and somebody that would fight for him. And so build yourself a fellowship and surround yourself with people who will protect and allow you to be authentic. Number five, embrace vulnerability as strength. Finally, reclaiming your voice requires vulnerability. It means risk, sharing an idea in a meeting or admitting when you don't know something, or letting others see your authentic self. Vulnerability feels dangerous because we're wired to equate it with weakness, but in leadership research, the opposite is true. Vulnerability builds trust. It communicates honesty, humility, and courage, all qualities people admire in leaders. Your voice doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to always be polished. It just has to be real, and that's enough. So here's a practical step. Choose one moment this week to lead with vulnerability. Share a half formed idea, ask for feedback, or admit when you need help. You'll be surprised at how often it deepens connection instead of breaking it. Now, why does this matter? Because when you reclaim your voice, you're not just helping yourself, you're shaping the culture around you. Authentic professionals become authentic leaders, and authentic leaders create spaces where others can show up as their authentic selves. That's how you build healthier teams. That's how you create a leadership culture. That's how you create innovative workplaces and careers that actually feel fulfilling. And at the end of the day, reclaiming your voice is about more than just speaking up. It's about living a life that's aligned, where who you are matches what you do. And that's where real leadership begins. So here's my challenge for you. Pick one of these five principles and practice it this week. Maybe it's journaling for clarity. Maybe it's setting a small boundary. Maybe it's sharing one authentic idea with a trusted colleague. Then come back here and let me know in the comments, which principles are you working on? I'd love to cheer you on. And if this video helps you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs this message. And don't forget to join our growing community here at Usita, because together we're reclaiming our voices, living with authenticity, and leading with purpose. So until next time, keep growing, keep showing, and keep leading as the real you. See you next time.